Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have now shared my thoughts on every draft pick that took place within the lottery of yesterday's NBA draft, and now time to move on to the teams that picked outside the lottery. Obviously, the first team that fits that criteria would be the Orlando Magic with the 15th overall pick. However, before I get into the Magic situation, I want to remind you to leave a like and subscribe. Lots of basketball content coming out on this YouTube channel, and if you are a fan of basketball, you'll be a fan of this channel, and I love to get the support, and it also helps you out because you get lots of content. So it's a win-win for both of us, so don't be shy, leave a like and subscribe. And now, without further ado, let's talk about the Orlando Magic. They drafted Cole Anthony with the 15th pick. This is a bit of a shocker to me, actually. I thought that there were plenty of guards that they could have gone with here. I thought RJ Hampton and Tyrese Maxey were both really strong candidates, but we saw both of those guys actually continue to fall down the draft board. Both of them went in the 20s, when I thought both of them probably had a ceiling right around 20. So I think that this might have been a bit of a stretch. I don't love Cole's game. I think that he ended up becoming a bit underrated after so many people turned on him after a season that really wasn't the best at North Carolina, but I still do think he probably was a top 25 guy in this class, not like some people who had him in the second round, but the Magic might have been a little early on him here. He does kind of have an interesting fit with their roster. I think he'll play all right alongside Markelle Fultz. He can space the floor a bit better than Markelle, so I would imagine he'll play off the ball a little bit, and that'll probably be good for him if he can play off the ball because it'll allow him to focus on scoring, which is really what you're looking at with Cole Anthony. He's one of the better scorers in the draft this year, outside of the top guys like Anthony Edwards and Obi Toppin. After that, he might be like the third best scorer, though, so Cole is certainly an exciting player, and people had very different ideas of where he should have gone in this draft. Like I said, though, playing with Markelle Fultz in the backcourt alongside him should be a good fit. Markelle can take on the more challenging matchups night in and night out on the defensive end of the floor, while Cole can really focus on the scoring stuff. I think he'll probably come off the bench, at least to start the season, although Yvan Fournier has had his name shopped around a little bit in some trade rumors and could be moved on from. It wouldn't be completely shocking to me. So if that does happen, we could see Cole get inserted into the starting lineup. But as of right now, I view him as kind of the replacement guy for DJ Augustin as the backup point guard behind Fultz. I think Cole is certainly capable of that role. He's going to be a bit more of a gunner off the bench, and he's going to look to get his own shot before setting up his teammates with a shot creation type of play. He's more of a score-first player than a playmaker overall, so that's just kind of the play style you're getting with Cole, which is a very different player than they had in DJ Augustin, but this team has been in the bottom 10 or 15 in offensive efficiency in each of the last couple seasons. That's really where they need to improve, and I think that he can assist with that a little bit by providing a really nice option to put the ball in the basket off of the bench in the second unit. I also think that this is a good fit for him because Steve Clifford might be one of the better defensive coaches in the NBA. He's going to make Cole work hard. He's going to continue to push him to make improvements on the defensive end of the floor, and I think that is a chance for Cole to really unlock his full potential if he can become that defensive player while still maintaining his ability to be a guy who can probably score 15 to 20 points per game at some point in his career. This team in general is in a weird spot. Jonathan Isaac is obviously out for the season with his torn ACL, which is a complete bummer, but they still do have some solid win now pieces like Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic, Mo Bamba, Chuma Okeke, and Markelle Fultz are all some interesting young guys that could develop and continue to improve and become better players. Bamba, I think, has gotten kind of a bad rep. People just haven't seen too much of him because his minutes have been limited playing behind Nick Vucevic. But I think that if he was given more of an opportunity and got to play more minutes, then we could see a large improvement from him. I have some interest in him as a rim protecting big man. He's not super mobile on that end of the floor, but he is a solid rim protector, and if you're playing a drop coverage scheme, he could be a really nice fit for you. On offense, if he can continue to extend his range and start to shoot the ball from the perimeter a little bit, that's where it starts to get enticing. He has some skill close to the basket, but where you really need a big man to show improvement in this today's NBA is at the perimeter. And unless they're an elite rim runner, that's the only offensive value that they are really going to carry. So if Bamba can continue to improve there, continue to be a solid rim protection option on defense, and even work on his defensive versatility so that he can maybe switch onto some 3s and 4s, he can really start to rapidly improve. Chuma Okeke was this team's first-round pick out of Auburn last year. He obviously didn't play, so he's kind of an unknown commodity, but there's a lot of people that believe that Okeke has some potential to become a nice wing player. I really don't know much about him, so I won't say much more than that. Markelle Fultz is the other young guy on this team. If he can continue to improve his jump shot and get to a percent where he can at least shoot it respectably, he's got a nice floater game, he's got a nice in-between game, he can finish at the rim, and he's a decent playmaker. He also brings it every night on the defensive end. So if he can figure out that shooting, this guy still has a shot to end up being an above-average starter in the NBA. Not the potential superstar that people thought he was when he went number 1 to the 76ers out of Washington, but there's still a chance that he can put together a really solid NBA career. With the veterans, Yvan Fournier is a guy who can really score, good shooter, not much outside of that, but he does have somewhat of an in-between game. He can attack closeouts, take a couple dribbles into the lane, and put up a little floater or a mid-range jumper. On defense, he's competent and he's smart, but he's certainly not a good defensive player, but I would not call him below average. I think he's pretty close to average. We've seen him struggle in the playoffs, and that's due to the struggles he has creating shots for himself outside of just taking open jumpers. And that's not really a good recipe for success if you're the Magic, because he's really your secondary scoring option, and the fact that he can't really create for himself all that well is not so good. So I think that's the main reason why they're looking to shop him, create some room for their young guys to get some more minutes, and try to get some value out of him before his contract expires following this season. Nikola Vucevic is probably the most exciting veteran on this team. He can really score the basketball. He's still good in the post, and although that isn't a super valuable trait anymore, it's still nice to have a guy who you know you can dump it in there to him and he can work to get a bucket. He's a good passing big man, as we saw him put up triple-double. I can't remember if he got triple-doubles or if he was close to them in that series against the Bucks, but he can pass at a really high level for an NBA big man. He's a good rebounder because he's a pretty monstrous human being. He's a large man, and he's pretty good at getting himself in position to rebound the basketball. And in a drop coverage, he can be a decent rim protector, but outside of that, he doesn't have much value defensively as he's not very mobile and can't switch on to smaller players. He still is a very skilled big man, one of the more underrated players in the NBA by my estimation, and he's the best player on this team. I think that there's a chance that they could move on from him to try to exact from value from him and open up some minutes for Mo Bamba as they continue to make an effort to get younger, but I don't think that that's going to happen just because they seem intent on being the 8th seed every single year. Aaron Gordon is a wing who is super athletic, great dunker, can finish the ball at a very high level. On defense, he's a really, really nice player as he can guard multiple different positions, very versatile defensively, utilizes that athleticism to the best that he can. And really the area he needs to improve is with his jump shot, similar to lots of players on this team. Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac. If the jump shot can come along with Aaron Gordon, he has a chance to be a solid player. I just don't think it's going to happen in Orlando at this point. He's been forced to play out of position so much, and the fit with him alongside Nick Vucevic isn't terrific. So at this point, I think that they really need to start thinking about moving on from him. The only question is, what's the destination? I don't really see a great one. One that I had thought of would be with the Minnesota Timberwolves. If they were to give up the 17th pick and James Johnson in exchange for Aaron Gordon, if you're the Magic, you get a solid first-round pick and an expiring contract. And if you're the Timberwolves, you get your answer at the starting 4. But obviously that didn't happen because the draft passed, and the Timberwolves traded away the 17th pick to the Thunder in a trade-down move. So that obviously can't happen. The Trailblazers were another team that made some sense for Aaron Gordon, but they went in a different direction by finding their featured 4-man when they traded for Robert Covington, so that's not going to happen either. So when thinking about ways to break up this team, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, and I don't think it's going to happen. I would love to see them try to make a youth movement and make an effort to build around the young guys like Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, Chuma Okeke, Jonathan Isaac, and Mo Bamba, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. This team is content with competing to make the playoffs every year, and quite honestly, I have to admire them for that, as there's a lot of teams that tank in the NBA, but this team always puts their best foot forward and they try to make the playoffs, which, in my opinion, is certainly admirable. In free agency, they have to retain one of their numerous wings that is on the market. James Ennis, Gary Clark, Michael Carter-Williams, and Wesley Iwundu are all free agents. Iwundu is probably the cheapest guy to bring back, as Clark and Ennis both showed some value, but I think all three of those guys are going to be pretty close to the minimum. Carter-Williams is one of the better role players in the NBA this past season, so I think that there's a chance that he gets something far closer to the mid-level exception. So he might be a bit more difficult to bring back, but I'm also not sure that he's all that much better of a player than Wesley Iwundu, James Ennis, and Gary Clark. So I think that those guys should really be the focus for the Magic to bring back. They can rock a rotation with Markelle Fultz and Cole Anthony at the point, Evan Fournier, Terrence Ross, Chuma Okeke, any combination of the free agent wings on the wing, Aaron Gordon, Al-Farouq Aminu, Nikola Vucevic, and Mo Bamba, as well as Khem Birch at the big man positions. That's a solid roster and a very deep one at that. So if I were to make a prediction for how good this team can be next year, I'd say they could probably win 41 games in a regular NBA season, right at 500. So in a 72-game regular season, I would peg them at something around 36-36. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this pick for the Magic. Was Cole Anthony the right guy for them? How good do you think this team can be in the future? Let me know. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. That's it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.